All right, let's try that once again with an unmuted mic. Hello, American Patriots. Welcome to another episode of the Ducote Show. You had many places you could be tonight, but you chose to be here. And for that, I am forever grateful. Thank you very, very much. Well, there's so many things that we could cover tonight, but I figured the most important was to reach out to everyone, especially if you're white, to let you know that it's okay. Just because you're white and someone shot and killed some people today or yesterday doesn't mean that the finger should be pointed at you, a white person. But you wouldn't know that by listening to the Democrats and the liberals, now would you? For those of you who aren't aware of what I'm talking about, I will explain it in tonight's show. All the horrible, terrible things that have now happened because of this Muslim terrorist attack right here, once again, jihad in America. Now, because I'm talking about jihad and American attacks, Muslims, well, who knows what YouTube's going to do with that, because that makes me a racist. No, not calling out white people for being, the shooter, that doesn't make you a racist. But by speaking the truth and facts, well, that's what does. And that's just getting old real quick. So let's get right into this, shall we? More details are emerging the day after a 21-year-old identified as Ahmed Alawi Alisa killed 10 people, including a police officer, during a shooting at a Boulder, Colorado grocery store yesterday. The suspect allegedly bought the firearm used in the attack 6 days earlier and was known by former classmates to be short-tempered and paranoid, according to reports of an arrest affidavit that was released earlier today. The document did not disclose where the weapon was purchased, but stated he did so on March 16th, so just a few days ago. Police are still investigating the motive of the attack and said they're collecting statements from him. Officials did not provide much information about the suspect, but Boulder County District Attorney Michael Darthery said he had lived most of his life in the United States. On a Facebook page that belonged to the shooter, he wrote messages that criticized former President Donald Trump's response to immigration and refugees, allegedly writing, "Trump is such a dick." He also complained about not having a girlfriend and shared wrestling photos because he wrestled on his high school team. Speaking to the Denver Post, a former classmate, Dayton Marvel, said that he was kind of scary to be around and had once made threats against people during a wrestling match. His senior year, he actually lost his match and quit the team and yelled out in the wrestling room that he was going to kill everybody. This was at Arvindale West High School, and it was a class of 2018. Nobody believed him. We were just kind of freaked out by it, but nobody did anything. Merville told the Post how Alisa would talk about being a Muslim and how if anybody tried anything, he would file a hate crime and say they were making it up. And we know from statements from his family members today that he was schizophrenic, he was paranoid, he constantly thought he was being watched and followed, even pointing out people that were out there looking at him while he was sitting at a restaurant in front of a picture window when his family said there was nobody there. So one of two things took place that law enforcement's trying to figure out right now. Is he a radical Islamic terrorist and just wanted to kill a bunch of white people or Americans? Or is it something deeper? Maybe just a mental health issue. Either way, what is the first response from liberals and Democrats? Let's ban your guns. That's right. In a time where once again, someone who is Muslim strikes out and kills Americans, let's ban weapons. Vice President Kamala Harris' niece said Tuesday she assumed the suspect mass shooter in Colorado was a white man, in part because he was taken into custody alive. Couldn't make this shit up if you tried. Leading to accusations she engaged in racial profiling. You think? Mania Harris was forced to delete a tweet assuming the race of the suspect killer of 10 people in Boulder grocery store after it was revealed he was of Syrian descent, Syria. The Atlanta shooting was not even a week ago. Violent white men are the greatest terrorist threat to our country, Mania Harris tweeted on Monday. Well, for starters, there's no merit at all in her statement, and it's not true in any way, shape, or form. And the FBI statistics and all the data that traces mass shootings in America are not predominantly white men. So, Ms. Harris, you're as stupid as the vice president, your relative. Now that 21-year-old Ahmad Allah Awali Alasis is in custody for the shooting, Harris admitted her assumption was based on him being taken into custody alive and the fact that the majority of mass shootings in the U.S. are carried out by white men and they don't literally survive if they're of any other color. A children's book author and prominent surrogate of her aunt during the 2020 campaign, Harris has received favorable media attention. She earned a glowing New York Times profile in January for her Empire of Statement t-shirts, and she recently penned a Washington Post op-ed praising the cancellation of several Dr. Seuss books. The suspected person that did this shooting of last week, rash of Atlanta area shootings that killed 8 people, was a white man. Harris wasn't the only person to assume the Boulder suspect was also white. So let's talk about the liberals that spoke out on Twitter. Deadspin editor Julie DiCarlo tweeted, she was extremely tired of people's lives depending on whether a white man with an AR-15 is having a good day or not. To which USA Today race and exclusive editor Herman Javar wrote, it's always an angry white man, always. George Hahn tweeted, he's a publicist, when a white guy with an AR-15 shoots and kills a bunch of people, is the motive really relevant? Spoiler alert on the motive, he was having feelings, anger, inaccuracy, invisibility, impotence, i.e., not special. CJ Werleman, global correspondent for Baylan Times, columnist for Inside Araba, activist against Islamophobia, tweeted, the suspect gunman in the Boulder, Colorado mass shooting is a white guy. 7 reported dead. Cue mental illness, bad day, parking dispute, or anything else other than what he most likely is, a white domestic terrorist. Amy Skinkin, who claims to be a defender of democracy, activist for women's rights, and advocate for the LGBTQ plus community, and is best known as author of the Weekly List and as president of the New Agenda, a nonprofit dedicated to the advancement of women, tweeted, "The shooter was taken into custody. In other words, it was almost certainly a white man. Again, if he were black or brown, he would be dead." And then D.L. Hughley, comedian, actor, liberal radio host, author, tweeted, "A white armed mass murderer has a better chance surviving an encounter with the police than a black dude holding a phone." Now, that is just a few of the ridiculous, bold-faced, lying, pulled out of their ass tweets against white people. So, with the liberals all up in arms and the Democrats all up in arms about this, let's see what President Biden has to say. He's considering executive action on gun control in the wake of 2 mass shootings in less than a week. White House press secretary said Tuesday he did not specify what actions he might take. "We are considering a range of levers, including working through legislation, including executive action." She told reporters that has been under discussion and will continue to be under discussion. Biden, addressing the shooting that occurred in Boulder, Colorado, and that left 10 people dead, said Tuesday he didn't want to wait another minute, yet alone another hour, to act on gun violence. A shooting 6 days earlier left 8 in Atlanta, Georgia dead. He didn't mention political executive action, but implored the Senate to pass a series of House bills that would close loopholes in background checks. He also urged Congress to ban assault weapons. "I got that done as a senator. It brought down mass shootings. We can do it again," Biden said during his remarks at the White House. "We can ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country once again." These are bills that receive votes with both Republican and Democrats in the House. This is not and should not be a partisan issue. This is an American issue that will save lives, American lives. And we have to act. We should also ban assault weapons in the process, Joe Biden said. The House passed 2 bills this month to tighten gun control. One that would give authorities 10 business days instead of 3 to complete background checks before a gun sale. Under current law, gun sales can proceed if the background check takes longer than 3 days, what's known as the Charleston loophole. The bill passed 219 to 210, with only 2 Republicans supporting it. Another bill would expand background check requirements to guns bought over the internet, at gun shows, or through other private transactions. 8 Republicans joined Democrats in backing the bill. The Senate would need to garner support from 10 Republicans to clear the filibuster and pass the legislation. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat in New York, said Tuesday he hasn't spoken with the White House about the assault weapons ban. Such a ban is not part of the pair of House bills that passed earlier this month. Gun control experts have reached out numerous places, for instance, on Fox News, saying that Biden could tighten gun control without Congress by using his authority to limit trade. Alan Gottlieb, founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, said that Biden could use the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, ATF, to tighten regulations. What we're expecting to do is anything with foreign commerce. If the firearm is being imported in, or magazines or ammo are being imported in, he could, by executive order, try to do something in that nature. Gun control activists, meanwhile, are calling the White House to take executive action to expand the background check by redefining who is in the business of selling guns. They say they want to see the administration reclassify what is considered a gun in an effort to shut down the ghost gun market. Ghost guns are not subject to serial numbers or background checks because they are assembled from kits that include one unfinished piece, typically the receiver. Once again, a shooting takes place that wasn't in self-defense. And instead of addressing the real problem, and in this case, it appears to be possibly because he told his friends he was Muslim, he has a Muslim name, and he was from Syria. Instead of looking at the real problems, we're going to blame white people. We're going to accuse him of being a white man, and we're going to ban weapons. Because, you know, if you ban weapons, then the bad guys will abide by the law. That's right, the law that they don't already abide by. Bad people that commit crimes against innocent people don't give two shits about what you ban or what laws you pass. They don't care. There's never been a case in the history of planet Earth that a bad guy showed up somewhere where guns weren't allowed, let's say, a school, and went, I guess I can't go in and kill these kids today because there's a sign on the door that says guns aren't allowed. They don't give a damn about your rules. They don't care about your laws. It doesn't matter what you pass. Do you ban knives when there's mass stabbings? Oh, what mass stabbings, Doug? Allow me. An altercation inside a Detroit, Michigan hookah lounge, that's where they get together and smoke cigars and stuff, earlier on Sunday morning escalated into a mass stabbing incident in the parking lot, leaving 8 people hospitalized with knife injuries. Police said 8 people have been hospitalized after being stabbed outside the Detroit area lounge early Sunday, according to local ABC News affiliate WXYZ. The stabbing happened around 4:41 a.m. in the 6700 block of a Greenfield. An unidentified 34-year-old suspect has been arrested in connection with the stabbing. He was among the 8 people who are being treated for stab wounds at local hospitals. The altercation inside the lounge spilled out into the parking lot where the stabbings occurred. All 8 victims were Arabic Muslims, were taken to local hospital for treatment. According to Detroit Police Department spokesperson, none of the injuries were fatal, thank God. The suspect was arrested at the hospital where he is being treated for injuries from the altercation. His name is Taha, T-A-H-A, Sitwa, S-H-I-T-A-W-I. He's 34 years old. He's been charged with 8 counts each of assault with intent to murder, assault with intent to do great bodily harm, and felonious assault. He is expected to be arraigned on Wednesday, March 24th in a 36th District Court. And a photo of the suspect has not been released as of today when I went on the air with this show. So I figured this would be a great time to discuss with all of those that want to blame white people for mass shootings what's really taken place since 9/11 in America. And look, I said this once, I've said it 1,000 times. Don't take my word for it. You think I'm full of shit? Just Google it. Look it up yourself. It's on the internet for everybody to see. As we all know, on September 11th, 2001, in New York City, hijackers steered 2 planes into the World Trade Center, killing hundreds on impact and eventually killing 2,606 people when the towers collapsed, with more than 6,000 being injured. During the same incident, 200 people were killed when hijackers steered a plane full of people into the Pentagon, and 40 passengers are killed after hijackers attempted to steer a plane into the U.S. Capitol building. They went down in Pennsylvania. So, since then, June 1st, 2009, Little Rock Recruiting Office, military recruiting, Little Rock, Arkansas. A man shoots a local soldier to death inside a recruiting center, especially in the name of Allah. November 5th, 2009, Fort Hood shooting, Fort Hood, Texas. A Muslim psychiatrist guns down 13 unarmed soldiers while yelling the praise, Ali Akbar. April 15th, 2013, Boston Marathon bombing. Foreign-born Muslims detonate 2 bombs packed with ball bearings at the Boston Marathon, killing 3 people and causing several more to lose their limbs. September 25th, 2014, Vaughn Foods beheading incident in Moore, Oklahoma. A Sharia advocate beheads a woman after calling for Islamic terror and posting Islamic beheading photo. July 16th, 2015, Chattanooga shooting, Chattanooga, Tennessee. A Muslim commits a shooting spree at a recruiting center, at a strip mall, and a naval center, leaving 5 soldiers dead at the location. November 4th, 2015, University of California, Merced, stabbing attack by Islamic extremists. December 2nd, 2015, San Bernardino attack. San Bernardino, California, a couple opens fire at a Christmas party, leaving 14 dead. January 7th, 2016, shooting of Jesse Herron. Philadelphia police officer Jesse Herron is ambushed by gunmen who later pledged allegiance to ISIS, the terrorist organization. February 11th, 2016, Ohio restaurant machete attack by Islamic extremists. We need to ban machetes, just in case y'all aren't up to date on that. Machetes. June 12th, 2016, Orlando nightclub shooting, Orlando, Florida. Omar Mateen shoots and kills 49 people and injures 58 more at a gay bar, the largest mass shooting in U.S. history at the time. And of course, the liberals and Democrats, if you remember back then, tried to say that he was anti-gay. Well, turned out he didn't have anything to do with it. He didn't even know it was a gay bar. He just wanted to kill Americans. November 28, 2016, Ohio State University attack. Columbus, Ohio. A Somalian student. Oh, Somalia, let's see. That's where Alihan Omar's from, the congresswoman, one each. He was a student. His name was Abdul Artan, who came to the U.S. as a refugee. Oh, so did Alihan Omar. The coincidence here. Intentionally rammed a car into pedestrians on a busy campus sidewalk on Monday morning and then began slashing passengers with a butcher knife, injuring 11 students and faculty and staff. So we need to ban cars and butcher knives. October 31st, 2017, New York truck attack. New York City, 29-year-old Safulo Halabavasya rented a Home Depot pickup truck and intentionally drove it through a bicycle path. He crashed into a school bus and then exited the vehicle, wielding what looked like weapons. He was shot by New York PD. 8 people were killed and 12 were injured. December 6, 2019, Naval Air Station Pensacola, Florida. A second lieutenant of Saudi Royal Air Force training at the Naval Air Station in Pensacola opened fire on one of the classroom buildings, killing 3 and wounding 8 others before being shot by responding police officers. May 21st, 2020. Corpus Christi, Texas. At the Naval Air Station Corpus Christi, Adam Aslan crashed through a northern perimeter gate at NAS Corpus Christi, activated vehicle barriers. The driver then got out and opened fire, being shot and killed. A Navy police officer was shot, but was protected by a ballistic vest. Al-Ashin had expressed support for terrorist networks, including ISIS. The FBI announced the incident as terrorism related. So, look, Democrats and liberals, for the love of all things holy, let's stop blaming white men for all the mass shootings, as you like to call them, happening in America. And then liberals and Democrats, let's not jump to conclusions on who the shooter is, because you end up with egg on your face and you look like a complete and utter idiot to your followers when you say, oh, here we go, another white man in a mass shooting. And as it turns out, that's not true at all. You will notice, if you haven't already, that CNN and MSNBC are caring very little of this story now that we know it's a Muslim. Yep. No, they're not going to talk about it. Can't go there. You know, it was Congresswoman Alihan Omar who said that the biggest threat to American citizens was white men. And she's doubled down on that many, many times. Why? To get the eyes of what's really happening in America away from the public. And that is radical Islam. The FBI has already come out and admitted that all across America, in 50 states, they have been monitoring Islamic training groups, terror cells, that as of yet, in some cases, haven't done anything that will get them arrested. But they're training with weapons that they legally purchased. For what? And I just named off just a few of those that killed Americans under the name of Allah, but there are literally hundreds and hundreds that luckily the FBI and local agents were able to intercept and take out before they commit their horrible acts against Americans. I'm one that has said many times, and I say it again right here, right now, I am not against those of Muslim faith. I am against those that interpret the Quran to mean that they need to commit jihad against all non-believers of Allah. And I don't give a damn if you're in America or you're in Saudi Arabia. If you believe that I need to die because I won't follow your Allah, then you are the problem. Not me, and not any other American. If you don't like the freedoms that we have in America, leave. Go back to that shithole sandpile that you call home, whether it's in Somalia or Iran or Iraq or Syria, whatever. But coming over here and telling us how we're supposed to act and telling us what we're supposed to believe in, and then somehow with your radical message, you actually get Democrats and liberals to agree with you that it's white men that are the evil people in America killing Americans is just, it's dumbfounding. You just, I can't wrap my freaking head around it. The facts are all out there. You know how many white men actually commit crimes killing other white men, or hell, anybody for that matter, compared to black youth gunning down other black youth all across America in Democrat mayor-run cities like Chicago, Philadelphia, Memphis, Atlanta, Oakland, California, New Orleans, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, you name any metropolitan city in America that's run by a Democrat mayor, and look at the gun violence taking place on what's called black on black crime. The majority of the killings that are taking place in America today and have been for many, many years are done by black youth gunning down and killing other black youth, not white men. The majority of the mass shootings that have taken place in America were not done by white supremacists or white supremacists guilty of doing mass shootings or killing innocent people. You bet your ass they are. And I've called them out many a times. And I will continue to call them out. But the majority of the terrorist attacks, mass shootings in the United States of America are done by radical Islamic terrorists. Period. Stop claiming it's white people doing this. There's no merit behind that at all. All you're trying to do is teach the youth coming up, the next voting class, to believe your radical bullshit stories. I've had the opportunity in my lifetime, growing up as a child, serving in the military, as well as working in law enforcement, to meet and become friends with people that were Arabic, living here in America, born and raised, or came here from Muslim countries that I consider friends. Most of them are Christians. Some of them are of Muslim faith. And they stand up and speak out against radical Islamic terrorism. To say that all those of Muslim faith are bad people is absolutely, it's insane. That's like trying to say that all white people are part of the KKK, or all black people are part of the Black Panther Party. No, doesn't work that way. Well, it does in your little pea brains, but in reality, across most of America, we see right through your bullshit. And we understand what your reasoning is. It is to point the finger away from the real causes, the real threats that we face. And all you need to do is a little bit of homework. If you're watching me, then you have access to the internet. whether it's on a PC or an iPhone or an iPad. You have the ability to look at the numbers, to look at the facts. And it's your responsibility as an American citizen to expose information that's being put out that's not true and correct people that spew their hatred towards white people. It's really pretty sickening. It's disgusting. I, for one, I don't give a damn if you're white, black, Asian, from Saudi Arabia, doesn't matter. If you treat other human beings as something not worthy of living because they're just an American, or because they're trying to raise their family in a peaceful environment, and you treat them like shit, then you should be treated the same way in return. I'm against all violence. I'm against shooting other people or stabbing them unless it's in self-defense. And then, Katie, bar the door. It's open game when that happens. But the bottom line is, when it comes to the Democrats and the liberals' narrative, always jumping on ban guns, ban guns, ban guns, it makes no difference to them. None. There are places that bad people just don't go to commit their crimes. Why? Because chances are there's a good guy there with a gun that's going to shoot your ass for what you're attempting to do or doing. Now, this idiot chose a great time and a great location to do what he did in Boulder, Colorado. Because I don't know if you've ever been to Boulder, Colorado, but there's a lot of people packing guns there openly. Most are males. But during the day at a supermarket, what are you likely to have there? Elderly and women. Many with their kids. Now, if he would have chose a sporting goods shop, Bass Pro, maybe a Home Depot or a Lowe's, chances are he'd have pulled that trigger once and about 30 people would have gunned his ass down. Criminals look for a weak target. That's what they do. And the last thing they look at when they get ready to commit their crime is it legal to do so? No, they don't care if it's legal to do so. They don't care what laws you pass, Congress. Tomorrow, if you could wave a magic wand and make every gun disappear in America, you think for 1 second somebody that's hell-bent on killing someone else isn't going to do so? I just read you a bunch of stabbing incidents or mowing people down with a car or flying airplanes into buildings. But they got to jump on the bandwagon for guns. We got to get rid of those scary guns. When most of them in Washington, D.C. know absolutely nothing. And we know that for a fact because we've heard the way they've talked about the scary black guns. The insanity of the left and now the Democrats, because of the infiltration of the liberal ideology into the Democrat Party is scary. And I don't know what the answer to that is, other than people realizing the facts about the party. And I'm speaking as someone that was raised a Democrat. When I registered to vote for the very first time, it was for the Democrat Party. All my family were Democrats. And then when I realized later on in life, and it took going into the military to see this, that the Democrats didn't give two shits about us, I switched parties to a party that cared about peace through superior firepower, a party that cared about our military service men and women having the equipment needed to conduct their job if it came down to it. A party that actually cared about the men and women in law enforcement that every day step out not knowing if they're coming back home again. The party that stands for the national anthem with their hand over their heart instead of some kneeling little pansy ass NFL player making millions that hasn't done shit for the black community other than lie and make up things that are not true and spread that into the minds of the youth that look up to them as their heroes. When I was a kid, the heroes were our military, were veterans, were the men and women of law enforcement, firefighters, first responders. And yes, we looked up to sports figures, those that were part of the America dream, those that stood and even in some cases cried when the anthem is played. Not what we have today. The pathetic excuse of what's now the NFL and the NBA, there's nothing else we can do about it but boycott it like I've done. That was hard to do, trust me. I was a big football guy. I can surely say right now that I don't miss it. None. Not at all. Now that I realize that they're still doing it. They're still kneeling. They're still disrespecting every man and woman that's ever returned to America in a coffin draped in the American flag. Not to mention, it's disrespectful to our founding fathers and everyone that's ever fought, served, bled, and in many cases died for that flag. What the coming days will look like under this administration as they attack our Second Amendment rights, I'm not sure. How they're going to spend this, well, we already know that. We've seen it. They're calling the shooter a white guy just because he had light-colored skin. Well, hell, that's kind of racist, I believe. Especially when you don't even, his name wasn't released, and a grainy photograph of him being led away in handcuffs from a distance. And they jump on, oh, it's a white guy again. Well, in due time, I believe that reality of what we actually face the real threats of what we actually face in America, will come back to slap these people in their face. Because that's what it's going to take. Because they don't get it. They don't understand. It takes a good guy or girl with a weapon to stop a bad guy or a girl with a weapon. And in most cases, especially if you live in rural areas, you don't have time for the cops to arrive. Hell, even today in inner cities where they're trying to defund the police, you don't have time when somebody tries to hurt you or your family. Whether it's attacking you in your car or breaking into your house, you don't have time. If you wait without a gun, chances are you're going to be injured or killed. All because the Democrats don't care about you protecting yourself. The innocent people, those that follow the laws of the land, those of us that do not commit crimes. Our hands, they want to tie, while just allowing those who don't care what you do with the laws, because they don't obey them in the first place, to run rampant over us. That's the America they want. Good luck, Biden, liberals and Democrats, of going into the homes of Americans and taking away our Second Amendment rights. Not a snowball chance in hell that will ever happen. As many of you Democrats, especially in Washington, D.C., have said you will get behind. For starters, the men and women in law enforcement are going to laugh at your ass. They got more important shit to do, like protect your silly asses, defunding them. We're at a part in American history where things are going off the rail for the worst. Whether it's the border with Mexico and the kids in cages. Oh, but you can't call them that with Biden. No, the same building, the same facility that was kids in cages under Trump is facilities, holding facilities for children. You people are pathetic. The Democrat Party and the far left liberals of this country are nothing more than a bunch of pathetic losers that have no actual grasp on reality of what's happening, not only in America, but anywhere else on planet Earth. Radical Islamic terrorist groups are still planning to kill you because you're an American, and they don't give a shit if you're a Democrat or a Republican. They don't care. That's their plan. It hasn't changed. Newsflash, it's all still the same. And they're here. And thanks to this thing called the internet, they don't have to go over to Iran to get radicalized or anywhere else in the Middle East. They can do it right here in America, right off the internet. And those in the Middle East that are radicalized, they're laughing their ass off at us for our failure in leadership to call it out for what it is. And political correctness says you can't do it. Fuck political correctness. I care about the safety and security of my family and my friends. And the rest of the world out there, you're just there. I will go down fighting for my family and my friends against the bad evilness of this country that wants to kill us. They're here. They're growing here. It's getting worse, and it will get worse. And thankfully, to the brave men and women of law enforcement across this country, we're finding these people and we're taking them down by the hundreds every year. Right here in America, becoming radicalized by an ideology that is batshit crazy. I'm sure there's more to come. Better believe there's more to come as we move on in the days and months ahead. And sadly, there will be more of the same type incidents that happen that we're talking about, because too many people in leadership positions in this country don't have a clue. They never served in the military. They never served in law enforcement. Hell, they never left this country other than maybe go to Europe on vacation back before 9/11 took place. The real world is dangerous. It's a scary place. I've been there. I've seen it firsthand. And sadly, just like you, I'm seeing it firsthand right here in my own country. You had many places you could be tonight, and you chose to be here. And for that, I am forever grateful. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Share it with your friends and family. When my videos from the live show become a regular video and they're posted, please share them. I'm banned on Twitter for life. Facebook's constantly shutting me down. YouTube is demonetized everything I do. I don't care. Why? Because I'm right and they're wrong. And I'll continue to speak the truth. I may not have a platform to do it on other than my own .com, DouglasDucote.com. They can't touch me there. But they sure as hell have done a great job of trying to stop the facts and the truth from getting out there to the American people in the world, because it's not politically correct. And that, my friends, is the biggest problem we face as Americans. It's the political correctness bullshit that is taking over this country like a fungus. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving in the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, our first responders, their families, our angel families, our blue and gold star families, and our country. May God bless the United States of America. We need that more today than ever in the history of this country. Thank you for joining me tonight. God bless you. And I'm live Tuesdays and Thursdays right here on the Douglas Ducote YouTube channel. And I'll be seeing you real soon. Good night, everyone.